Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Thursday. It's January 4th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And it looked like we were going to try to bounce out of there today, but we ended up trading down. A lot of sideways, mixed trading, but we traded down most of the from about mid-morning, late morning to almost into the close there. So we closed near the end, low side of the range, and you can see we closed. Looks like we might have closed right at the EMA, maybe just below it. This thing runs a bar so behind. So we'll see if we continue lower. Notice we turned down right off the trend line right there as well. Um, so we may be going lower here. We'll just have to see what tomorrow brings. Um, we had a little bit of a bounce early off that EMA, but we closed. It looks like we closed just below it or right at it. So we'll have to see. We'll see what tomorrow brings. Um, but we're still kind of in a bearish correction right now at a minimum, and it could be we could be turning here. So we'll see what we'll wait till we'll see what tomorrow brings. But anyway, it's Thursday. No chart lessons on Friday, so this will wrap up our week. It was a short week because of the Monday holiday. But let's flip over to the 2000 tick chart and take a look at it and go through the trades. You have quite a few more trades today, so we'll flip over there and take. And here it is. You can see it looked like it was mostly sideways. We broke out up here and trended higher, and then turned down, and it was downhill all the rest of the day. So we closed near the lows here, but we had a couple of news items right here at 7:15, 7:30, so you really couldn't start trading until after that. But let's zoom in, go through the trades. You had to be patient. Most of your trades were in the afternoon, late morning, early afternoon this time, rather than. But you can see we turned down mid to late morning there, and it was all downhill after that. But most of your trades were in the afternoon today for a change. But again, you had this news item, so you can't trade in there. But really, I mean, it was obvious by 7:35, 7:40. I mean, even if you went all the way to 7:45, you were good. You've got a bearish bar right off the key entry point here, but it's just a first entry. I don't think you want to take that. Would have been a great trade, but I don't think it's worth risking. Then we came back, and even though you made a little lower low there, that's still two legs back to the EMA. It's just a first entry by the way this counts. But anytime you see those two legs back, that's generally a good trade. It's just as good as if it was a second entry or not. Um, I mean, you really have almost a triple test there as well. And you really could have entered on that bar or this one. If you didn't enter on this one when this one closed, go short below that one. You still got plenty of room. And this thing dropped fast and hard. There was room to get out by the lows here, no matter which signal bar you chose. But if you're going to enter, you might as well enter on that first one. And of course, it bounces down here. This one was tempting on this higher low, but you can see the trend line still finding resistance there. So you could get another leg down. So I think it's too risky to go long there. There's a reversal here or a failure, but it doesn't set up properly. It needs to be on the other side of the EMA. And it looks congested, so you really can't enter there. But finally, you get a second entry here. It's the first break of the trend line. I like going long there. It takes it a minute to work out. Actually, I think you would have gotten out before it corrected. Yeah, there's 2 points there, so you would have even gotten out before it corrects. And then you get a triple test here. The signal bar is not perfect. It's close. It's clearly a second entry, and it's clearly a triple test there. It's close to being blue, but you may still take that one anyway. You come back up here and you get another short right off the highs, but it makes such a higher new high. It is a second entry too. I think you should wait on the lower high, which comes here, and then it looks congested. And so I just didn't like entering there. You might enter that one since you already had two legs up. Maybe you enter there. I'll mark it green, but I just wasn't crazy about it. And then this is too congested. It looked like it was going to set up an entry here. But then when it doesn't break lower here and you're just kind of bouncing off the main, uh, the midline of the main trend, you can't go short right there. It would have worked. Then there's a second entry long, but you haven't reached the lows yet. It's kind of a higher low. It's really tempting. I didn't mark it because it looks a little congested and it's right in the middle. If this signal bar would have been good here, maybe you take it. But the signal bar doesn't qualify anyway, so I didn't mark it. It does run up and break higher, and you just kind of keep pushing up, but there's no entries there. And so now you got to break 2 legs up. The only problem is you didn't make a lower high here, so you need to wait on a lower high. And then you finally get one here, plus you get a triple test, and this broke higher and failed and turned down. I like going short there. I don't know if I would have gone short once this closed. But if you went short on the engulfing bar, I don't see a problem with that. That's the way I like the trade in real time. Once it closed, there's a little bit too much stem there, and you're so close to this low here. I think you're better off to wait. But when you had the failure in the triple test there in real time, and you went past the engulfing bar, I liked it, and you can see it ends up working out fairly easily. And then we're just kind of chopping sideways again. This is a higher low and a pretty good signal bar, but again, you hadn't been able to push through that midline the last few bars, so I think it's a little risky. And you can see it probably would have worked, but it still didn't make the highs, and it comes back down again. And you're just chopping along here. This one's tempting for a short, but if you look at it, it really closes right outside or right at the key entry point, the resistance. And then you got this outside bar here. It's really bearish, but it's right at the midline here. If you take it, you end up getting burned. So I think you just needed to wait and see if you needed a few tests of this resistance here. And you get another test of it here, but it never breaks lower, and then you're working higher again, and you can't go real long there, really. But it runs up, gets a close outside, new high. That is a second entry right there. Actually, it's not. If you're looking at this trend, there's a first entry and then a second entry. But really, the trend starts, the swings start down here. So by the counts, it's not a second entry. I don't really like going short right there. It is close to the far away from the EMA, and there's reasons to consider it. But I think you're better off to wait on the lower high, which comes here, and the signal bar is no good on it. And then finally, you get a second entry short with another good signal bar. That's the place to enter, and look at it go. And I get this question occasionally. For some reason, people think you can't go short into the EMA or long from the low side into the EMA. It all depends on the context and what's going on. You're clearly making lower lows and lower highs, and you get a second entry here. Prices will push through the EMA and right just through it and close through it occasionally. So you have to look at the context of every situation. They're all different. But there's no reason you couldn't go short there on that second entry. It's a little congested area, so it's a failed breakout. You made 3 lower highs here. It's a great signal bar. It's a second entry short. And you can see it just kind of takes off there. Okay, I had a slight interruption there. But you got this second entry short here. And this turns out to be a really nice trend. There's not really another opportunity to enter here. Comes down here. I'm not sure if that's an overshoot. I believe it is. Maybe not. It's hard to say if that's a two-tiered or overshoot. Maybe it's not because you get this push through right here. So that's probably correct right there. But you get the break here in a first entry and then a second entry right at the EMA. Of course, you may not have known exactly where this EMA was going to be yet if you're not real skilled at this. But it's still, we tried to go higher 1, 2, 3 times. It's a 1, 2 second entry. And actually, triple test didn't come till here, but I liked entering on this one. Actually broke higher and then turned down right off the EMA. You could go short on the engulfing bar there if you wanted. You might wait on this to close because it's starting to look a little congested. And if it breaks below there, you can go short, which it doesn't. So if you didn't enter on the engulfing bar, you can't enter on that bar. But then it tries to go higher again and turns down right off the midline again. I think I called that the EMA a minute ago, but I meant midline. And now you got a triple test, and you're making a slightly lower high each time. I like going short there for certain if it breaks lower, and that turns out to be a quick, easy move. They trapped the longs on that next move up. This is one of those fake traps, and this is why you need to know when to take a failure and when not to take one, because I guarantee there's somebody watching this video that thought, hey, that's a failure. I'm going to go long right there. Don't go long in a downtrend. Don't do it. You're expecting a retest of this low, but I guarantee there's somebody that thought they found a trap right there and went long and got burned. Don't do it. Follow the rules. Stick to the basics until you're a really good chart reader and you won't make those mistakes. There's another second entry here. I wasn't as crazy about this one because there's not much room to scalp out here. Generally on the second entry, you're more interested in the one down here. If you entered that on the engulfing bar, maybe, but this one closed through the EMA and the midline. So I was a little concerned with it, but when it broke higher and failed and turned down, maybe you consider going short there. Here you just don't have enough room, and you still would have worked. Maybe you might. I'm just going to say maybe on both of those, but I'm not crazy about either one of them in that range. Their bars are kind of large, and you just don't have much room. 11 ticks, 11. They're both the same size. They both look almost exactly the same, really. But then it falls down here, and you get another of those two-legged pullbacks to the EMA and the midline, and you get this much better entry here. Only 5 ticks, and that's 2 legs back to the EMA and the midline. Plus, it's a retest of the breakout area, and you've tested it a couple of times there. I like going short right there because it looks like there's more room to the downside here, which there turns out there is, and then we bounce here, and still you got the bigger pattern here, so you don't want to go long in here, in my opinion. Definitely once it starts chopping sideways, just sit tight and see if it gets back to the EMA, or the trend line, the key entry point, which it does. And guess what? You get a second entry short, a 5-tick bar, a triple test. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. I didn't mark the lower high because there's a little bit of support right across there. I didn't draw that support line, but always draw your lines, especially till you get real skilled at this. It looks like it's really more along right there. And so there's not much room to scalp out. It would have worked even if you hadn't got out on that bar when it comes back, it still would have worked. But I think you're better off just to sit tight, and then you get a little hidden 2 swings back, second entry, a little hidden second entry, and another big bearish bar right off the key entry point. So that entry point's held 3 more times. I like going short right there. We already broke out, so if it breaks lower, probably going lower. There is a lower high here, but it looks too congested. It actually comes back here to this yellow trend line, and you get a first entry, and there's a second entry here, and it's a lower high. It's really close to that support, but it's right off that key entry point. So maybe you take that trade. I marked it green. I think it's a little aggressive, but I marked it green all the same. It would have worked. There's another hidden second entry here that broke higher and turned down. I definitely wouldn't go short way down here, but you might consider going short across on the engulfing bar. When it broke lower, it actually breaks higher and turns down, and there's actually a hidden second entry in there. So that's another one that maybe you could take. And then there's another second entry right here, but that definitely looks congested, and there's definitely support right there. and it runs on down to the low of the range, and of course it bounces. Now you get your break. You get a first entry, and there's a second entry here, but that just looks too congested. We didn't make a new high here, so I'd say wait, and that was, even though that would have worked, waiting was the right thing because the timing wasn't over. We hadn't made a new high yet. It runs up, makes a new high, and then it sells off. And that's why we like to see a break in a new high. Now, if you'd made a double top and had a big bearish bar or a real small, low risk bar, it's very bearish. Maybe you still go short there, but getting this late in the day, I just sit tight. And unfortunately, you don't get a setup here to go short, and then you just chop sideways in this real tight range into 230. So that was really it for the day. That's another one that you say, okay, maybe, but I'll tell you, I wouldn't take that trade in real time. I just think you need to wait. And there it is. That's how I saw it today. Really, we traded down from about where's the time on that thing? About 10, it says 10:17. I think that's when the bar closes, though. So 10:15, 10:16, somewhere. A little after 10 o'clock, we traded down the rest of the day. So fairly bearish today. But we trended up prior to that. And again, this is just a mixed trading day with a range that failed out the high side, then actually broke lower and held into the close. So that's the way I would describe today. But anyway, there's still plenty of trades. The afternoon was, or late morning, I should say, was into lunchtime was better. There's really not much after lunchtime. So 1 o'clock, there's not much going on. There's a couple of green ones, but so really most of your trading was between 10 and 12:30 or so. So there it is. I'm not going to beat around the bush with it. I'm still trying to get caught up. No chart listing tomorrow. There will be a mid-morning chart will come out usual time tomorrow, and I should be caught up by this, by the first of next week. So, but anyway, I hope you had a good trading day. We'll be back again Monday. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.